Good afternoon. My name is Jacob, and today's topic I will be explaining or teaching will be decisions. So, what I'll go ahead and be explaining further will be if and else statements. Now, the first basic one that will be the first one to be teaching is if. Now, if statements are only as a single statement, the brackets will be included to the statement must be met in order for this statement to be executed. Now, when encoding, if statements has to be the first one before, as I'll explain further, of how your code should be structured. If the condition is false in the statement, it will not be executed and continue to the next statement, which will be the else statement. Else statement is the final statement that will be executed last if all conditions are all false. So if each branch or each statement is being continuing as each condition are false, it will go to the last statement, and as that and no conditions being true or false, it will just straight to the last else statement. Now, so with if and else statements, there are certain notations that are operators that are included into these statements. These are called conditional statements. Now, most conditional statements in coding are used in math notations, which are less than, greater than, equal, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or not equal, as it shows the chart on the right. With these uh, notations, are used for conditions that have a boundary or comparing into your statements. So each number or character or string has a certain boundary into what condition can go be executed. These will continue for the statement to be executed as true or false in each if or else statement. So there's also alternative statements into this. One way we can go ahead and code multiple branches for the if statement is by using else if. Now else if is you're able to go ahead and you code it multiple times for your if statement as one branch. It's a way to continue the branch of the if statement as the statement passes onto the condition is executed. It is helpful to use else if it is as long you don't want to repeat the if statement. Now, else is the only one that you cannot repeat. It's the last statement used. Else if you are able to code multiple times into one branch. If as well, but there's certain cases where that code could not be passed on. Now, as I said before that about math notations, they're also called Boolean. They're not called Boolean notations, only Boolean statements. Now, these statements are used for maybe complex coding when it comes to making decisions. When using maybe multiple data types in one statement that you can go ahead and combine for an if or else statement. Now, as the chart shows on the right, one way we're able to go ahead and combine will be the comparisons, the less than or equal to, are also one of them that you can be passed as a true or false statement, along with equal, not equal. Now, Boolean, for the operator of Boolean and Boolean or is very used different. They have certain ways that can go and be shown. Now, as I'll show you on the next slide. So as you see, I brought an example of using just A or B. Now, as you see from here, A or B in an operator of using and, if both conditions are true, it will be executed as a true statement. Now, if A is true and B is false, this would continue to just only be false. As A is false and B is true, it will be executed as false. And the same way as both data type being false, it will be executed as false. The way I like to go ahead and image it as a plus or minus into these two. Now, as you see that both are passed, so true being plus and false being negative, it's only being passed with what it is. Now, only using or in this notation, if you use A or B as true, will be executed as true. Now, A being true and being false, this one will be executed as true. And then the same vice versa being true. Now, as well as A or B being false, will also execute B as false. Now, if A or B or whatever your data type could be that you choose to have in the coding, if you choose true, but you put the statement into not for A, it will be the opposite of the condition. Same as vice versa. So if you want your condition to be false into this, will only be executed as true. Now I have a code to give an explanation further about. So as we see here, we have our data types here as wage, years, and age, which we'll be explaining further about Macy working for further longer into Macy's. So the user would be asked how many years have you been working at Macy's, and the user will go and type in a certain number. And then the same thing as how old are you as you're working for Macy's. So as it's shown here as an if you're less than 5 years of working at Macy's, and then or at the age under 20, you will only your wage will be increased by $2.50. And if that is not true, it will only continue to as if. Now, if the year is less than or equal to 10, or the age being 30 less than 30, your wage will be increased by $5.25. And then we'll continue to execute last for whatever the value for years in wage. So I'll show the example from here. Let's say, how many years have you been working at Macy's? If I want to go ahead and say I've been working at Macy's for 3 years, but how old I am will be 28. So as we take a look from here, as I'm showing true for one side and then age as false on this one, which be only executed as 250, which only be past the condition as true. So as you see here, it'll show you for working at Macy's for 3 years, your wage is $22.50.